Welcome to the Wellness Pulse with Monica Stevens. From CPR to self-care, staying in rhythm with your well-being. Thanks for tuning in. Good day. We're here with Miranda Burnett of GoRescue, and we're currently at the Lifesaving Summit on a cruise in the ocean close to the Bahamas. Here with me. Hi, Miranda. How are you?
I'm well. How about you, Monica?
I am excellent. We had a couple of sessions earlier, and I have the delight of hearing you talk a little bit about the CPR history and how far we've come. So, Miranda, I'd like you to share a little bit about that with us, okay?
Sure. So in the 1960s, our compressions to ventilations, we were more focused on airway because they thought that ensuring that the person was receiving oxygen was the most important thing. And we were doing a compression to ventilation rate of 15 to 2. And then our rate was between 60 and 80 compressions per minute in the 1960s. And our survival rates were at like a 5.2%. And now that we can show with ILCOR doing educational and evidence-based updates of what is working in our industry and what is not, they have changed things to focus on compressions first, so a CAB scenario. They have also changed that to a 30 compressions and 2 breaths, and we are compressing at a rate of about 100 to 120, which has increased our survival from a cardiac event to discharge from the hospital to 10.2%.
That is like almost doubling our impact and our reach. We've come a long way because, as you know, we used to do some crazy stuff before we got it figured out.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, you would see things from, in the early 1900s of people dragging people behind a horse and carriage, which now we would consider barbaric, but, it is what they had to work with at the time. So seeing how our survival rates have increased, I think that as we continue to do research on how what we're doing is working and the medications that we're using during a resuscitation, I think that we will see that 10.2% completely increase in the next 10 years.
I agree. I think we're definitely on the right track. That is a very good observation because it does seem like back prior to like 1900, some of our ancient times, it does seem as if we didn't really have any evidence-based practices. We were just kind of winging it and going for, hey, this looks like we got the best success,
Absolutely. And you would see in ancient times where people would use shock therapy. They were really ahead of their times, and those being the initial first AED, so to speak, even though there wasn't any science base behind it. It's really cool to see how far we have progressed, and ILCOR has done a great job of investigating the science and investigating, hey, what is working for us? And AHA and HSI and Red Cross have done great with adapting those ILCOR standards so that students that are taking classes, it is relatable to what they're doing, and it makes it a lot easier for them to retain the information and get a great experience while they're taking a class.
That is awesome and very important because we need everyone to be confident in providing those life-saving skills. So when we talk about the life-saving skills and teaching CPR and the importance of it, as an instructor and a super educator that you are, why is that important to you?
So CPR is very close to my heart because I want to remember my why of why I started. And on September 12th of 2008, I lost my mother-in-law to sudden cardiac arrest. And the department that was responding to her cardiac arrest, it was the fire department, and their response time was great, but the distance from their station to her home was 16 minutes. So no one in the home knew how to do CPR, so she went 16 minutes without any compressions, ventilations, any responder responding to her emergency. So my why is ensuring that no one is in that same situation, that their loved one is discharged from the hospital and that they get to spend more time with their family. So that is why I do what I do. Even the stress of the everyday operations, just knowing that some type of training was able for a loved one to go home to their family is extremely important to me.
Amen to that. If someone is not comfortable or confident in their CPR skills, or if someone went down and, like the store or the restaurant, what would you tell them, or what would a message that you would like to give viewers who are not comfortable jumping in if someone needed CPR because they were experiencing sudden cardiac arrest? What would you like to imprint upon them?
So, the main problem that we see is that people do not want to give breaths to someone because they don't have a barrier device or they do not know the individual that they are giving breaths to. So, doing compression only CPR is important because that is keeping the blood circulating to the brain and throughout the rest of the body. So, doing hands only CPR, even if you're not willing to do breaths, just pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest until a trained responder arrives to give those breaths, or until a barrier device arrives, I think is extremely important. But also, if there is an AED available, so say that you're in a park and you know that there is a Walgreens a block away, sending someone to get that AED and say, hey, there's one at CVS around the corner, go get the AED and bring it back to me. So continuing those strong, good chest compressions until that AED arrives, and then applying the AED, ensuring that you're using both of those, and then once the first responders arrive, continue what you are doing until they are physically there. Don't hear their sirens coming and stop. Wait until they are ready to take over the response from you and let them take over.
I was going to end the interview with that, but now you've made me. Let's talk about how you would know that there was an AED in your area. Isn't there like an app that could help us with that?
So PulsePoint is an app that you can download on your phone. It is a free app, and it allows you that no matter where you are traveling in the United States, it allows you to log into the app and it will show you the closest AED to you. So there are a lot of people that purchase AEDs. They will register their AED inside this app, whether it's in a home, whether it's in a business, and they register the app so that if any kind of emergency happens near them, that you're able to go get that AED. But one thing to note is that in any of the major box stores, so if you're looking at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, any of those, a lot of those do have AEDs that are inside their stores. So if something happens, if you're in a park and you're near one of those stores, most of those stores do have AEDs inside. There are apps that can allow you to see where the closest AED is. But one thing I used to always do with my child, so now she's in college, but when she was little and she was at home, we always played a game. If we went to any store, it was, if you find the AED first, then I'm going to buy you a prize. But if I find the AED first, I don't have to buy you a prize while we're in the store. So we made a game of it, but she remembered it as she got older, that even when in college, she would go, hey, Mama, I found an AED at Mississippi State campus. It's inside this building. So she remembered that she is making note of where the AEDs are, so that she knows, even though that I'm not close to her, that she knows where those AEDs are. If she needs to respond in an emergency, that she can. So that's pretty cool to me.
That is super cool. And that's kind of, we were talking about it earlier in the sessions. That's kind of like generational knowledge. Like, look what you've imprinted upon her and all the people she's going to impact, and possibly even go into, like a life-saving type of career, so that is the awesome.
What the AED 365 app does is that it allows you to ensure that your AED is ready to rescue. So it gives you the compliance aspect of it, that someone is laying eyes on that AED once a month, once a quarter, so that you don't end up in a situation where no one has looked at that AED in 2 to 3 years. The pads are expired, the batteries are expired, and you go to grab that AED to respond in an emergency and you can't use it because it's not ready to rescue.
And there you have it, folks. Miranda Burnett of GoRescue. I'm Monica Stevens with the Wellness Pulse.
Thanks again for listening. If you or anyone you know needs to learn CPR, first aid, or a life-saving skill, please contact People's Choice CPR and Safety. From CPR to self-care, the Wellness Pulse is staying in rhythm with your well-being. I'm Monica Stevens. Take care.